What is hypothesis? Okay. Here in day 4, as you can see, hypothesis testing and formulation type 1 error and type 2 error and hypothesis power. This is connected to day 5, that is inferential statistics, inductive statistics, hypothesis testing, chi-square test, and t-test, z-test, ANOVA. Okay, they both are integrated. Until or unless you are not aware about the hypothesis,
Hello, ma'am, you are not audible.
girl has, yes, she suggested that she wanted to know the relationship between consumer behavior and COVID. Okay. First of all, for that purpose, we need to create a data set. Okay. To create to develop the hypothesis, we need to identify the variable. Okay. In this, the variable is consumer behavior is one variable, of course. Consumer behavior. Okay, here again it will not get take the space, so we can have only consumer kind of, or CB. We can edit this name. Okay, I'm going to delete this. Clear? Just in this I will consumer behavior type, it will be numeric without decimal, because we are taking it on a ordinal scaling. I think you guys are clear about the scaling concept. Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we are taking it on the ordinal or nominal scaling. That's why bring it like that. Okay. So level, here we will explain this consumer behavior. Okay. Values, here they are getting impacted. 1, adverse, add. 2, not any impact, neutral, add. 3, positively. There sometimes like COVID has having kind of that. Okay. Okay, these are the 3. Just I'm taking example. In a real life, you will have to find out several construct for consumer behavior. Suppose their psychological behavior. Suppose their instead of psychological, social behavior, economical behavior. There are lots of behavior dimension you need to identify. Those behavior, those parameters are known as the under that further you have to move for the construct validity, EFA, CFA. There are lots of things, but here for example I'm just taking one variable that is named as the consumer behavior. Okay. One, in that the measurement, it is ordinal scaling. Input I have edited. Another one, she suggested COVID. Is there COVID or not COVID? Okay. COVID. It can be numerical because stats only deal with the numbers value. I told you at the very first day. Okay. Second, label presence of COVID. It means they felt that COVID, they experienced COVID or not. Experience of COVID will be better label for this. Okay. COVID. Okay. Next, again, the value will be 1. Yes, experienced. Add 0. No. Not getting affected by COVID. They're not experiencing COVID situations. Okay, that's why. So this is kind of, and here we can say nominal or something. This is our data set. Okay, here we have 2 variables. When we will move to the data view, we have variable view and data view. We can get this. Is that clear? Here, CB. We can have either, we can directly feed in that consumer behavior like positively, or you can add only number like 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 1, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2. I'm taking at least 20 or 30 so that our test can have a significant result. Okay. 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, like this. We have 30. So at least sample size should be 30. That's why I'm taking it, so that we have our significant result, p-value, and then you can understand the power of it. In a fourth unit, there is a one statement, hypothesis power. Okay. That's why I'm taking this much of the sample size. Okay. Then COVID, yes or no? 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1. Okay, this is our data set. Okay. Now we have to define. We are set with the data. First of all, we were clear with the objectives. We were clear with our topic. We wanted to check the COVID impact on the consumer behavior. Tentatively, it is not that kind of selected data, that just we are assuming. Okay, this data set is the hypothetical data. Otherwise, if you want to check, then you can go and select after the literature review, lots of literature review, you can feed that data. Okay, in that we have to first formulate a hypothesis. I have told you in our first lecture then how to formulate a hypothesis. We will formulate here. We first, for formulating hypothesis, we need to identify the variable. We have two variable, consumer behavior and COVID. Okay, then we can test we can formulate several hypotheses in that. One hypothesis can be formulated in the way of relationship, that there is significant impact of consumer COVID on consumer behavior. You are listening me, participant?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. So yes, I want to ask, because without interaction, teaching is having no sense. So just if you won't mind, then I would like to know what you will formulate as a null hypothesis in this case.
Maybe there is no significant relationship between COVID-19 and consumer behavior. We'll take it as a
Yes, of course.
I think it would be there is no significant impact of COVID situation on consumer behavior.
The both can be formulated. In the case of regression, we will use the impact word, influence word. There is a one slightly very thin difference between these two statements. What first ma'am has suggested, there is a no significant relationship between COVID experience and consumer behavior. Okay, and there is significant impact. There is no significant impact of COVID experience on consumer behavior. Both hypotheses is having different meaning. One is just checking, examining the association between the two variables. Okay, these two variables. See, SPSS is easy. The interpretation is quite interesting in this SPSS. Always remember, SPSS you can get the instruction anywhere in YouTube, anywhere. But the important fact is how to interpret those things in with respect to your study. How to make that significance, stimulate that significance in your study. That is important. For that purpose, you should have very much clarity about your concept. So here, anyone can tell me the difference between these two hypotheses?
In the first one, I think they are just saying the result will output will say that there is a relationship or not, means yes or no. And
Yes.
in the second one, they will check the impact, that how much it affect the
Yes.
consumer behavior.
Yes.
So it
One
will measure
Hmm.
the impact, and in
Yes.
relationship it will just say that it is related or not related.
Yes. So that was quite correct. One is just association between these two variable, and another one is the impact. When for that purpose we have different tool. When we are checking the association, we have chi-square and correlation test. But if we are checking the impact, then we have to run the regression. This was the hypothesis testing. Okay, number one. Clear, everyone?
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
can you repeat once again, please?
Of course, I'm going to repeat this. Where you have doubt, Sonal? Yes.
Ma'am, this one, the impact and impact, we have to use regression, and for showing the relationship we need to use.
Chi-square. Okay. For this is the key point. Just why I am taking this day for a session in a continuation. Otherwise, because this is the directly connected with the further study. If once you are done with the hypothesis, then things are easy. Means hypotheses are the blueprint for your further analysis. When we have word in a PhD or articles, when we are using the word impact or influence, then it is clearly suggesting you to run either regression or structure equation modeling from MOS. That is also a further advanced tool. But for your basic understanding, then you are not allowed to just apply the correlation or chi-square test. Okay, if you are checking the influence. Okay, but if you are examining the CB, means these two variables are interrelated, associated, then you will have to, in case of interval and ratio scaling, you have to apply correlation. But if like this, they are in a categorical variable, in a qualitative variable, you have to apply the chi-square test. Is that clear? Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next category of hypothesis. One was the influence and impact and association we were examining. Another can be in the sense of comparison. Another can be in the sense of comparison or proportion. Suppose I am hypothesizing, stating that 7% people are experiencing COVID. This is also a hypothesis. Okay. Second, the people who is having COVID and non-COVID, having there is no difference between their behavior. There are lots of things in the sense of that. Okay. So in that, how to formulate null hypothesis? Suppose the second one. See, hypotheses are two types. One is the comparison, for the comparison, and another one is for the observing and examining the relationship. Okay, when we are comparing two variable, okay, then we have to formulate hypothesis in this in the way of there is no they are equal to each other in null hypothesis. Yeah, if I am talking about the proportion, like a 7% of people, proportion of this population are experiencing COVID infection, then what will be my hypothesis? My hypothesis will be that yes, 7% people are experiencing COVID, and other like alternative will be not equals to 7% proportion. Okay, this is the methodology of hypothesis. So I think I'm clear how to construct the hypothesis, null,
Yes.
alternative, and there are various way to construct the hypothesis. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The second step, Second step is the power of hypothesis. Okay, whether whatever I am assuming, whether it is powerful or not. Suppose this is my hypothesis thing. I'm just going to check out one hypothesis that whether they both are, these both COVID and CB are interrelated or not. Okay, just I'm checking that. Okay. One minute. Non-parametric test, chi-square test. Okay, I'm just checking. Should I announce step by step? Go to analyze. Maybe you might have noting down that. So for that purpose, should I announce, or it is okay to go in that way?
It's okay, ma'am. You can carry on.
Okay, and analyze, then go to non-parametric test, then go to legacy, and then chi-square test. In that, we are transforming these two into this. Okay, here you can set anything, expected value, categorical variable are equal, or values you, if you want to, all categorical categories are equal, or values you are taking into that, or exact, whatever. Okay, okay, here you have degree of chi-square. Okay, chi-square values, chi-square is 0.20. Generally in social science, we examine our hypothesis at 0.05. Okay, at 0.05. If these values are more than 0.05, it means your hypothesis is not correct. You have to reject hypothesis. Okay, I'm repeating this again. I'm just not saving this. I'm repeating this again. There are two methods. Like in hypothesis, you have to, after formulation, when you are going to analyze, there are lots of techniques. Parametric test and non-parametric test. There are two ways to analyze the chi-square. One is in a non-parametric test, when you are checking on the basis of proportion. It is a like a little bit longer procedure. In that I will come proportion based. But in there, when we talk about the cross tab way, then we go in this way, chi-square. Okay, statistics. Here is chi-square. You have to check on chi-square and then continue, then okay. You will get the answer here. And when you will go for this, you will have value of this 0.790. Can you observe that?
Your output screen is not visible actually.
Okay, output screen is not visible. Okay. Okay. Sorry, but I'm again in chi-square test, we are studying the hypothesis. We are assuming our hypothesis is the consumer behavior and consumer behavior and COVID experience is interrelated. They are depending each other, or they are associated with each other. Just I'm taking one example. So about the power of hypothesis, how to analyze that power of hypothesis. When you will check this value 0.790, it means this is the we are checking in a social science. Generally we check hypothesis at 5% level. I think you guys are aware about the significance level.
Yes, ma'am.
Significance level is the maximum level you commit any error and you accept within that range, that hypothesis. Then if it is this p value, this is known as the two-tailed test. In two-tailed test, and if it is more than 0.05, it means we are rejecting our hypothesis. Okay, then we are rejecting our hypothesis. That hypothesis, the power of hypothesis, at what degree you are rejecting that hypothesis is depending. Okay, if this is as 0.05 was the boundary, okay, then you can say obviously there is no relationship between these two variable and you are very much confident about that. But what if it is 0.001? Then power of hypothesis suggesting, it means you are very much power of hypothesis was 0.05. Your critical reason was 0.05, and if it is if the value is 0.04, so it means it is less, you are not that much confident about that hypothesis. Okay, so basically when we talk about the power of hypothesis, it is suggesting the p-value, your relationship with the variable. If it is high, then you are highly confident for your hypothesis. If it is low, then you are high here, as the distance from 0.05 is high. They are highly distant, they are situated at the high distance from that, on that scale. It means your rejection power is high, your rejection power. I'm again, for explaining this power of hypothesis, I'm taking the help of one board. You guys are clear about this? This is the p-value. On the basis of this, we decide the hypothesis power. Is that clear? One point?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next, I'm talking how to take that in that means how to yes, this is the whiteboard. Okay, I'm talking the power. This is the 0.05 value. Okay, and this is the acceptance reason of our hypothesis. This is the rejection reason of our hypothesis. This is visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, as if we have this acceptance reason, if my value is lying at this part, distance apart from this is the highest, we are more confident about our hypothesis. It means we are accepting with highly confidence. Okay, and in the same way, if the rejection, like my value was 0.79, it is highly, it is situating at the high point. That means we are rejecting it with the high confidence. It means there is no significant relationship or dependency between these two variables. This is known as the power of hypothesis. Is that clear?
Yes, very much clear.
Okay. Next one is, in this, I'm also going to explain you another kind of hypothesis. One was the dependency. Another hypothesis, I'm the proportion. Okay. Next hypothesis, I'm going to formulate in sense of the proportion. It means whether these, I'm just examining, I'm just telling that 7%, there are 7% of the population who are experiencing COVID. Is that clear? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the another kind of hypothesis. Okay. So I will go to analyze, go to non-parametric test, legacy dialogues, and binomial, because are these characteristics. These characteristics are kind of, what kind of they are binary. They are 0 and 1. And when your variable characteristics is in binomial in nature, then you have to apply this test. Okay, that it means they are 0 and 1. Non-parametric test, legacy, and then binomial. In binomial, say what we wanted to check that experience of COVID, we will take it here. And what kind of proportion we are assuming. Cut point, if you want to set data, like suppose you are not already, just I will come to that point. I will create another variable for explaining this point, the importance of this cut point, just for this purpose, because we have already coded it in a binary form. Then we can go for this, get from the data. Okay, but we were assuming test proportion. We were taking that 7% or 10%. And now we were taking 10%. And 10% people from the population are experiencing of the COVID infection. Then we can go for okay. Can you see the output window? No.
Yes, it is visible now.
Okay, it is visible. Again, you have this output window. Okay. In SPSS or R or any statistical software, this is the matter of clicking any button, but the interpretation is very important. How you are interpreting that result, that is important. So here, our hypothesis, if I talk about the hypothesis, then hypothesis was this 10% population were experiencing COVID infection. Okay, this was my null hypothesis, because here we are comparing the negation word will not be the null hypothesis. I told you at that on a very first day. Okay, so here my hypothesis is 10%. Population were experiencing COVID infection. Then p value is 0.000. One tail test. See, here is one tail test. You guys are clear about one tail test or two tail test?
No, ma'am. Can you please revise it once more? One tail and two tail.
One tail test is a directional test, and two tail test is non-directional test. I'm just stopping this. I'm just copying this, output. I'm just trying to paste this on a Zoom screen share. Just little bit. The proportion, this value was this 000 was the p value. Okay, just remember this. I'm just trying to explain you null hypothesis here. Null hypothesis was for this data set that the population proportion of 10%. 10% means 0.10 proportion, because out of 100 I'm taking out. And because here we are in this kind of proportionate one, we run the one tail test. The rest of test, hypothesis testing, is being conducted on two-tailed. Okay, so what is difference between two-tailed or one-tailed? Okay, if an alternative, we will say the population that which is infected by COVID, that will be more than 10%. It means in general, if it would have 10 two-tailed tests, then our alternative would have been written in the form of this. Instead of directional greater than or something like that, it would have been not equals to. We are checking, we don't know whether they are less than 10% or more than 10%. There can be both possibility. Like we are not sure there in a two-tail test. Whereas in Whereas in this kind of, one tail test, alternative suggests, like here, we have p-value 0.000. I have, and that test was, proportion was 0.10. Okay. So this 0.00 suggests that to accept null hypothesis, it means in our data set, 10% of the proportion is getting affected by COVID infection. And if this p-value is suppose 0.52, okay, it is more than, this p-value is more than 0.05, then we will accept, we will reject the null hypothesis. In this case, if it is less than hypothesis, that this is a rule of thumb. If p-value is less than 0.05, always remember, if it is less than 0.05, then you have to reject the null hypothesis. Otherwise, you have to accept null hypothesis. Okay, so in this case, you have to reject null hypothesis and you have to suggest that your COVID infection is more than 10%, not 10%, that will be more than 10%. Okay, and if it would have like this, you have to accept your null hypothesis and it means they are 10%. Okay, but if it would have been two tail test, then you are not confirmed whether they are more than or less than. You will say, no, they are not equal to 10%, but it can be less than 10% or more than 10%. But in a case of this one tail, you will say, yes, they are more than 10%. I think I'm clear about the one tail test and two tail test.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so this is the basic difference. When you are talking about the one tail test, then you have to interpret your result in this way, because in research, the software will give you the value and you have to just put that value in a table. But after what you are interpreting, that is important. Okay. So next topic is this was a power of hypothesis, and now I have to I'm going to stop this and I'm going to explain the another part of the hypothesis formulation and testing. That is, what is the role of like cut point? In that I just told you, I will, after this I will explain you in parametric test, non-parametric test in binomial. I think, is it clear, visible my screen? No.
No, still not visible.
Okay, I'm how to feed data. Second, I told you how to formulate hypothesis. I took one example from your study, that is consumer behavior and COVID. And further, I just told you what kind of hypothesis you can formulate in terms of comparing relationship, means between two variables, and comparing the proportion. Okay, in that proportion, you have confronted two options. One is in that kind of cut point and get from data. This is basically for hypothesis testing power or hypothesis testing when you are not applying any kind of parametric and non-parametric test. Just you are checking the proportion. This is just a basic form of the hypothesis. Then get from data is valid when you are testing your binomial variable, like this COVID 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, sorry, 0 1 2 0 1 0 1 0 1, like that. But in like this, if we have data like a 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, then in that cases you can set a cut point. Okay, I'm giving you example for this purpose. So for that purpose, you have to add one variable. Suppose you are explaining the cut, suppose you are taking one example of in that vaccination dose or percentage, you can say like that, just prices of commodity, index price, okay, numerical, and here this is decimal, and unknown, it is kind of a scale, and in variable view, data view, you can feed that prices. Suppose 12 composite index, like a prices index. Just if I want to check whether COVID can affect the prices of the commodity or not, okay, kind of study. Again, I'm just taking the hypothetical data. Okay, this is my hypothetical data for prices. Here you can, conduct one study kind of like whether consumer behavior can get affected by prices or something like that. But here I'm just telling you the basic concept of the hypothesis formulation, how to just without any testing any kind of relationship, how to check hypothesis about the proportion, okay, to check their power, okay. That p value will define the power of your hypothesis, like how close you are for your result, okay. If you are not close and you are making any kind of error, then there is hypothesis, that is known as a hypothesis error. But for now I'm just telling you the hypothesis test and this binomial. Here again, prices, instead of experience you are taking prices, and here you have to click on cut point. This cut point will create the category automatically. Cut point, suppose 60. The less than 60 price will group in one kind of category, and less after that it will be categorized into another category, or it will automatically take the value of 0 and 1. And here I am just testing whether the point means the proportion of the prices commodity which are 60 or less than 60 are 30% or not. Is that clear? My statement is clear, or should I repeat this?
No, it's clear, ma'am. It's clear.
Okay. Then I'm going to do this, and I'm just clicking on OK. Is it visible, my output?
No.
No, ma'am.
This is the another one. Yes. Okay. Here, what we were talking about, group 1, group 2. In this, we have already, the previous one, we have already decided in our data set while feeding, we have given the values like 0 and 1, 0 and 1 for no, this is 0, yes for 1. And we said that in observation, 50-50 proportion. That's why we rejected our null hypothesis here. Okay, group 1 and group 2. But here, we said that let's the software categorize the group 1 and group 2, just we are giving them a line that is 60. Category is based on 60 value. The price, the commodity which is having price less than 60 or equals to 60 is in a one group, and the price, okay, the price which is having more than 60 rupees value, they are in group 2. And my assumption, hypothesis is whether the commodity which are less than 60 rupees are 30% of the whole population or not. Anybody of you can just tell me whether our confidence level is high in this to reject or select the hypothesis, or yes, as p value is very less and p value is 0, 0, 0, 0, then we are more confident on that. There are number of another testing for checking the hypothesis power. One of these is effect size. Okay, that is another thing. That is a effect size is also considered to check the hypothesis. But generally, we don't go for the effect size with the help of, because they will give the same result. Okay, but they are for the more accuracy, more confirmation. So in general, it is said that because they are directly proportionate to each other, then they are also calculated from the same formula. That's why it is assumed if your p-value is very low, then your hypothesis is more accurate, significant. You can rely on that. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So here, anybody can tell me what will be the result? Because a computer will give you the result, SPSS will give you the result, then you have to interpret what will be the hypothesis on the basis of that, and what will be the result. Anybody of you? Is it interesting or not? It is. This, I think this the basic for your research, creating your background for research. So just let me know whether you are getting or not. It is not a kind of test. We all are equal. Just I wanted to know whether there's any problem of communication or whatever. I am just wanted to tell you, making you understand whether you are understanding or not. Just wanted to know that. You tell me.
Maybe we'll reject the null hypothesis because the p-value is less than 0.05.
Yes, we will reject the null hypothesis. And what will be the hypothesis?
I think it is, as it is proportion, more than 30% price, more than 30% of price is having impact of that more than 60.
No. Here we are not considering the impact word. Here we are just examining the proportion. This is the key word. Impact will be only analyzed in the regression part. Okay. Here we are just examining the proportion, whether 30%. Examining our hypothesis that whether 30% of proportion of the commodity is below 60 rupees or not. Okay, for that purpose, our null yes.
Our null hypothesis will be that it is not below 60. 30% proportion is not below 60 rupees, and as it is rejected, the accepted hypothesis will be it is below 60. Right? 30% proportion is below 60 rupees price.
Very good. ठीक है ना? I think you guys are clear about the hypothesis formulation and their power and acceptance and rejection. I think so. In a both way, suppose in a binomial section and in the that way. Is that clear? I think so. You guys are clear about that. Should I move ahead?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, one thing it's written here that this test shows the proportion between binomial 0.30 and price is 60, and analysis is missing. Is it this the thing this we are doing? You're asking, right?
Just can you please repeat it? I couldn't understand at once what you were asking.
What I'm saying is here it has been mentioned that binomial 0.30 in bracket and price is 60. So we are actually seeing the result of the proportion of between these two.
Yes.
And
proportion,
as you have said, yes. And the analysis is missing. We're not analyzing, right?
See, analysis are completely different point. Means if you are analyzing the proportion. See, sometimes analysis is suggested for just examining the relationship. You are analyzing that. But analysis is also like that for if you are comparing. Okay, this is the comparative analysis. Okay, when we are extracting the relationship, that is the correlational analysis. Something is comparative analysis, something is like that. Okay, so experimental analysis, descriptive analysis are like, there are different kind of analysis, but it is also the part of analysis, but in a different way. We are just examining the proportion of hypothesis, whether they will be in our acceptance reason or rejection reason, that proportion. We are just checking the first step of the hypothesis, where we are not going to continue with any kind of variable. That's why when I started, because when we go in a study practical form, this is not going to be anywhere. Okay, you directly examine your relationship, like anybody from the PhD background or pursuing PhD, I can take that example.
Yes,
Or
ma'am. I'm
writing.
pursuing my pre-PhD.
Yes, I'm also.
Okay, now what is your topic?
Mm, My topic is about the impact of self-concept on consumer behavior.
Impact of self-concept on consumer behavior.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that, when you will go for the direct hypothesis, I think you might have hypothesis in your synopsis that there is no significant impact of self-concept on consumer behavior. Okay, directly.
Yes.
Okay, but before that, when you are going to select sample, whether your sample size enough for predicting your further analysis or not, you have to also check that. So this is the first step when you are going to select, examine your sample proportion. That's why it is known as a one-tailed test. Whether it left side or right side of your proportion. Okay, is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is the that part. Okay, next is the error. Okay, I'm a statistician and I'm proudly saying that committing error is not nothing, means is a good thing. I'm paid for that. Okay, why? There is a one kind of meme that okay, the statistician are paid for their error. What is error in this? Error. Okay, error are two type in hypothesis. Because tomorrow when you will study about the t-test, z-test, parametric and non-parametric test, tomorrow's session will be about that, then you should be clear whether you are committing error, or if you are committing error, then which kind of error you are committing, whether it is acceptable or non-acceptable. Okay, so there are type 1 error. I think you might have heard about this type 2 error. Anybody of you?
No, ma'am.
I think when your null hypothesis should be rejected and it doesn't reject, it is
Yes.
type 1 error.
Yes, this I think there are means you are clear actually about that, but not you're partially correct.
Yes,
Not
I'm partially. Yes, I know, ma'am. Yeah, okay, please.
okay.
Yeah.
So it is not kind of any kind of that. Just I wanted to know how much you guys are aware about that. So in that way, on that basis, I am just going to explain you. As she said, null hypothesis. Of course, we always have to consider our null hypothesis while accepting or rejecting. That's why when we state any hypothesis in any kind of general statement, we need to formulate them into the standard format. I have seen researcher have kind of only one hypothesis. Okay, we are checking this kind of relationship. But while accepting and rejecting hypothesis, because these statistics are working on a pattern. There is a pattern. If you are not following that, then your result will be misinterpreted. So for that purpose, you need to have just that general statement should have the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis form. So that's why, as she said, it is important to mention the null hypothesis when it is true. Suppose we have 0.0000, okay, p value. It means we are rejecting our null hypothesis. Okay, and we are accepting our alternative hypothesis. It means there is a relationship between CB and consumer prices. Suppose I'm taking that. And but because it was true and I have rejected that, then also I am committing an error. Okay. In that case, I'm also committing an error known as type 1 error or alpha error. That is known as alpha error. Is that clear? And opposite of that, sometimes our null hypothesis is getting false. Means suppose we have this kind of diagram and we have this acceptance reason and rejection reason. And our null hypothesis is in a rejection reason and we are going to pick that. It means we have false acceptance. We have the false acceptance. In this case also, we are committing an error. We are committing an error. Then in that case also, this is known as the type 2 error and known as beta error. What it is? It is beta error. So in that way, with respect to our null hypothesis, when we are rejecting the true hypothesis, that is concerned, that is covered by type 1 error, alpha error, and if we are rejecting, we are accepting our false hypothesis, it means that shouldn't be accepted, but still we have accepted, that is false acceptance, type 2 error. Suppose here consumer behavior and COVID experience. We have two variables and null hypothesis suggested that there is no relationship. Null hypothesis is accepted, but rather than acceptance, we rejected that. We rejected and we suggested that yes, there is a relationship between these two variables. Then what kind of error we are committing?
Type 1.
Type 1. Very good. And in that way, if I have, this is the false acceptance, if there is a no relationship between these two, there is no relationship between these two, means we have to reject this null hypothesis and we have to accept alternative hypothesis. Accept alternative hypothesis. Then what we are doing? And we are accepting this again, we have to accept alternative hypothesis and we are accepting the null hypothesis. Then what we are doing? We are committing
type 2 error
and beta. Okay. So this is kind of when on the basis of this practical, we are acceptance, means that's why it is important to accept null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Now, if you have committed type 1 error and type 2 error, what will be the consequences? Type 1 error and type 2 error, what will be the consequences? What will be the consequences? The result, what you are predicting, that will be insignificant. insignificant in statistic, insignificant word is directly indicating the p-value. Okay, it means when you are committing type 1 error, true rejection, it means the p-value is 0.000, or you are considering this rejection part, it means your p-value is more than that. That's why you are moving for that. Right? So if that p-value is giving the means you are in a you are actually was in a acceptance reason, but you are rejecting that, so your result will be whatever conclusion you will make, that will not be reliable. Okay, so now the condition is what type of error a researcher can have, okay, which is less dangerous. Of course, uh, uh, error can be acceptable. In case of, means suppose you are committing that error, then what kind of you can say what kind of error is preferable? Any idea?
Type 1, ma'am.
Yes, type 1 error is preferable over the type 2 error. Any reason why?
Because at least we are not accepting the false one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that is more dangerous than the, if there is no relationship between the consumer behavior and COVID infection. Okay. Relationship, we are accepting this relationship, it means whatever conclusion we are making for the reason which is not existing. So for that purpose, if any research scholar or any researcher is going whether to accept or reject, then it's better to reject. But it is not always, means if you can avoid that error, it is always good. But in case, that's why I'm telling you, in case, in a medical field, the second one is the most dangerous. You can say that is a deadly one. Okay, this was all but about the day 4. Okay, we have all the means we covered each and everything in that. So if you want to ask any question from that, like hypothesis formulation, hypothesis testing, power of hypothesis, type 1 error, type 2 error, then you can ask me.
Ma'am, one question.
Yes.
The thing in the last part you said about the consequences, that
Okay.
in type 1 error, I didn't get
Yeah.
about the p-value, like what p-value we actually get, and depending on that we decide it is a type 1 error or type 2 error, right? So
Okay.
in type 1 error, what p-value actually we get? That is my point.
In type is true rejection, then p-value will be, suppose when we accept the hypothesis null more than 0.05. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
0.05. But if we are accepting that, okay. But if we are rejecting, it means it is less than 0.5, 0.05, less than 0.05.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so it means it is showing that points less than 0.05, but actually it is more than 0.05. No, that's why we are means that 1 minute. I'm just explaining this again with the diagram. This is null hypothesis. and it should be accepted. It should be accepted, suppose. Okay. The condition for acceptance is p-value should be greater than 0.05. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
But for it is getting rejected because we are committing error. So for that reason, I assume it is rejected. So we have p-value less than 0.05, means hypothetical, means what we are in a illusion. Okay, it means we are in illusion that p-value is less than 0.05, but actually p-value is more than 0.05, है ना?
Yes, ma'am. So we
Okay.
are getting these p values because of our data error, right?
Yes, that's why. This is the problem. That's why we are committing this error. So that's why if p values, obviously, if it is more than 0.05, means we are accepting our significance level is 5%. And we are saying that 5% we are allowed only committing because confidence level is 95%. This is our hypothesis power, confidence level. Okay. And 5% is rejection, but our value is more than that. Okay, actually, we are in an illusion that it is less than 0.05, but it is more than 0.05. Okay, then it is insignificant. The result will be insignificant. So this is the technical term I introduced because just I wanted to tell you mathematics too, and why in a general way too. Okay, are into that by comparing this p-value, you can prove that okay, what we are getting illusion that it is less than 0.05. That's why we are rejecting, but actually it is having a more than 5% value. It is getting entered into the rejection area. Sorry, it is getting into our confidence level. Okay, in our confidence level portion. So that's why it is insignificant. So this is the way we can interpret that. Okay, now I think I am clear.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, anyone else? Anyone else?
Ma'am,
Yes.
how can we come to know about the, if the hypothesis is should be rejected or it shouldn't be rejected? Means the error, how can we cut the error? On the
Okay.
general scenario or the past researches or what?
Actually, it is kind of hypothesis when we are talking about the error. Then it is kind of when we have the one standard relationship. Okay, standard relationship. Standard relationship, it
Okay.
means somewhere it is already proved. Suppose pi value is 22 by 7, 3.14, and we are not getting somewhere this.
Yeah.
Okay, we are not approaching toward the standard value. It means we
Yeah.
are committing some kind of error. Okay, so in that way, this is kind of we have some kind of idea. Yes, we are going to committing any error. So what should we prefer? Whether it should be acceptance one or it should be rejection one. It is completely on the basis of the area.
Standard.
Suppose in a sociology, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Suppose
I
it
got
is
it.
kind
For
of a
example,
sociology, cultural. Their rejection is not the preference. Their acceptance should be the preference.
okay.
Okay. Okay.
For
In
example, if
medical
we
science,
continue this example only, means in COVID and consumer behavior. So,
okay.
and all over we know that there is a relationship between COVID and
Yes, yes,
consumer
yes. You
behavior.
got my
But
point. Yes.
according to our data, we are not able to prove that.
Prove that.
So
Yes. So
that so
significance
from
level.
that point of
Yes,
view only
yes.
we can got the
Yes.
error, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. That was
Okay. Okay. or if time is there, then I would like to parametric and non-parametric tests. So do you guys have any idea about parametric and non-parametric test? What do you mean by parametric and non-parametric? Because this is also the today's part. Means it is a kind of mix. Means those day 4 and day 5 are interlinked, because hypothesis is, again, when we talk about inferential statistics, we talk about the hypothesis testing. We always do the hypothesis testing in inferential statistics. So that's why I'm telling you, if you are going to apply t-test, f-test, ANOVA, or postdoc ANOVA, or chi-square test, then you must be clear about your hypothesis, whether you are going to check their power. I have told you, and there is a kind, I told you if what kind of error you can commit, and how you have to decide which kind of error you are liable to do that. Okay, sometime you are in a situation that you have to accept it, then you should be aware about, suppose, the consumer behavior and COVID cases. If I'm taking that example and you are not supposed to accept, means your result is showing that acceptance, then whether you have to accept or not. Okay, in that way. Okay, Debzani, yes, today's session is over. If anybody has any kind of question, then tomorrow I can continue, because it is important that parametric and non-parametric test, when to use parametric and non-parametric. If anybody has in like urgency, then they can leave, and tomorrow I can continue this. 0.01. Is that clear?
What about clinical observations in medical field?
In medical field, it is 1%. Highly recommended 1%.
Yes, because there will be a lot of variation from individual to individual.
Yes.
So-
1% is very important in a medical field, because I also used to teach B Pharma student, medical student. In that, there are lots of experiment. In that, you have to do the, ANOVA is very important. Experimental factorial design is very important in medical stream. Okay,
Yes.
in medical stream, because due to the higher, if you will select, you will study your 5%, then you will again commit error. What should be the accepted, you are rejecting, and what should be the rejected, you are accepting. This also get affected. The hypothesis error is also getting by the your setting the significance level. This is the source of your error, I can say. Okay, so in a clinical study, highly recommended, mostly means the 90% of the data set and studies are suggesting 1% of P level. In a social sciences, behavioral sciences, they are suggesting 5%, but in the psychological, like observational or anthropological studies, they're suggesting 10%. Am I clear?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for clearing my doubt.